Charlotte's late nights were just work, she said. Oliver believed her, until a text lit up her phone. Wait, his next flips the world upside down. Oliver Cruz pulled into the driveway of his Austin bungalow at 6:42 p.m., the dashboard clock glowing as he cut the engine. He'd wrapped a grueling day at the architecture firm, finalizing blueprints for a downtown high-rise, and wanted nothing more than to surprise Charlotte with dinner. He grabbed a bottle of Malbec from the passenger seat, a vintage they'd picked out during a trip to Napa 2 years ago. Tonight was about celebrating his project win, a rare moment to reconnect amid their packed schedules. He stepped out, the Texas heat still clinging to the air, and unlocked the front door. Inside, the house was quiet, no hum of Charlotte's usual playlists. She wasn't due home from her marketing job for another hour, which gave him time. Oliver set the wine on the kitchen counter, pulled chicken from the fridge, and started chopping vegetables with quick, practice cuts. The rhythm of the knife steadied him, a counterpoint to the day's chaos of client calls and revisions. He slid the tray into the oven, set a timer for 40 minutes, and opened his laptop to sync their shared calendar. Charlotte had suggested the app last month to stay organized, and he'd gone along with it, figuring it'd help them carve out time together. As he updated the calendar with tonight's dinner, his phone buzzed. A notification from the app, Charlotte's location pinged at her office downtown. He smiled, picturing her hunched over her laptop, crafting pitches for some startup's rebrand. She'd been working late a lot, her ambition matching his own. He poured 2 glasses of wine, set the table for 2, and lit a single candle. Not for romance, but because she liked the flicker when they talked. At 7:15, the front door clicked open. Charlotte stepped in, her gym bag slung over her shoulder, phone in hand. "You're home early," she said, her voice flat, not meeting his eyes. She dropped her bag by the door and moved to the sink, washing her hands with deliberate focus. Oliver caught the scent of a new perfume, sharp and unfamiliar, nothing like the citrus notes she used to wear. "Dinner's almost ready," he said, nodding toward the oven. "Thought we'd celebrate." The high-rise got greenlit today. He waited for her usual spark, the quick grin she'd flash when he shared a win. Instead, she nodded, her lips a tight line, and glanced at her phone. The screen lit up with a text. "Jake, work. Meet me at 8? Big night," Oliver asked, keeping his tone light, though his pulse ticked up. He leaned against the counter, watching her thumbs hover over the screen. "Just work stuff," Charlotte said, locking the phone and setting it face down. "Client dinner. You know how it is." She moved to the fridge, pulling out a sparkling water, avoiding the wine he'd poured. The candle flickered, throwing shadows across her hand. No ring. Just a faint tan line where it used to sit. "Didn't know client dinners required a gym bag," Oliver said, his voice still even, though his mind snagged on the detail. He gestured to the bag by the door, its zipper half open, revealing a folded scarf, but no workout gear. Charlotte froze for a split second, then shrugged. "I hit the gym before work. Forgot to unpack." She cracked open the sparkling water, the hiss sharp in the quiet kitchen. "I need to head out soon. Can we eat quick?" Oliver didn't push. He plated the chicken, set hers across from him, and sat down. She joined him, picking at the food, her eyes darting to her phone every few bites. The app pinged again. Her location still showed her office, though she was right here. A glitch, maybe, or something else. He took a sip of wine, letting the silence stretch, watching her shift in her seat. "You're quiet tonight," she said, finally looking up, her tone carrying an edge, like she was testing him. "Everything okay?" "Just noticing things," Oliver replied, cutting a piece of chicken with precision. "Like how you're not wearing your ring." He didn't raise his voice, didn't accuse, just stated it, letting the words land. Charlotte's fork paused midair. "It's at the jeweler's. Getting resized." She set the fork down, her movements careful, like she was stepping around broken glass. It was loose. Didn't want to lose it. Oliver nodded, his eyes on her hand, the tan line stark under the kitchen light. "Good call," he said, and took another sip of wine. The oven timer beeped, breaking the tension. He stood, pulled out a tray of roasted vegetables, and set it between them. "Let's eat. You've got your dinner to get to." She pushed her chair back, leaving half her plate untouched. "I'll be late. Don't wait up." She grabbed her gym bag, slipped her phone into her pocket, and headed for the door. The click of it closing echoed louder than it should have. Oliver sat back down, alone at the table. He opened the calendar app again, refreshing the location tracker. It still showed her at the office, but as he zoomed in, the pin shifted slightly, now at a bar 3 blocks away. He leaned back, the wine glass cool in his hand, and stared at the screen. The candle burned low, wax pooling at its base. He didn't move to blow it out. Instead, he opened his laptop, pulled up a browser, and searched for the bar's address. A trendy spot, all glass and neon, known for afterwork crowds and private booths. He clicked through photos on their site, dim lighting, couples leaning close, a vibe that didn't scream client meeting. His jaw tightened, but he didn't slam the laptop shut. He copied the address, saved it to a note, and closed the app. Oliver cleared the table, packed the uneaten food, and rinsed the dishes with methodical care. Then he grabbed his keys, slipped on his jacket, and headed for his truck. Not to follow her, not yet. He drove to a hardware store, bought a small safe, and set it up in the guest room when he got home. Inside went his passport, a flash drive with work backups, and his grandfather's watch. He locked it, pocketed the key, and sat on the edge of the guest bed. His phone buzzed, a text from Charlotte, running late. Don't worry. He didn't reply. Instead, he opened the calendar app one more time. The pin had moved again, now at a residential address, a loft complex downtown. Oliver exhaled, slow and controlled, and set the phone face down. He wasn't angry. Not yet. But he was awake. Oliver woke at 5:30 a.m., the guest room still dark, his phone's alarm cutting through the quiet. He'd slept there to avoid the empty half of their bed. Coffee brewed while he checked the calendar app. Charlotte's location hadn't updated since last night's loft pin. He sipped the black coffee, opened his laptop, and cross-referenced the address. It was a high-end condo building, not far from the bar. No name attached, but the pieces were aligning. He saved a screenshot, closed the app, and headed to the shower. By 6:45, he was at his downtown office, sketching revisions for the high-rise project. His phone stayed silent. No text from Charlotte. He didn't expect any. Instead, he emailed a colleague, Alex, who moonlighted as a private investigator for extra cash. Need a discreet check on an address, Oliver wrote, attaching the condo's details. No confrontation, just facts. Alex replied within minutes. On it. Give me 48 hours. Oliver nodded to himself, pocketed his phone, and joined a client call, his voice steady as he walked through blueprints. At noon, Charlotte texted, back late again. Work event. He didn't respond, but opened the calendar app. Her location pinged at her office, then flickered to a gym across town. He archived the data, noting the time, 12:14 p.m. Lunch was a quick sandwich from a food truck near the site. While eating, he searched Jake's name from her text last night. LinkedIn showed a Jake Harper, marketing director at a rival firm, tagged in photos with Charlotte at industry events. Their smiles in one shot were too close for colleagues. Oliver saved the image, his jaw tight, and returned to work. By 6 p.m., he was back at the house, grilling a single steak. The calendar app pinged. Charlotte was at the same bar as last night. He didn't call or text. Instead, he drove downtown, parking a block away from the bar's neon glow. He stayed in his truck, camera app open, zoom set to max. At 7:22, Charlotte emerged, Jake's arm brushing hers as they walked to a black sedan. Oliver snapped a photo, time-stamped as they drove off. The app updated. Her location shifted to the loft again. He saved the image to a secure drive and headed home. At the house, he opened his laptop and drafted an email to his bank, requesting a new account in his name only. He scheduled a transfer of his next paycheck, leaving the joint account for shared bills. Next, he texted his sister, Mia, need a favor. Can you store some documents? She replied instantly, anything for you. Drop by tomorrow. He packed his birth certificate, a deed copy, and his project contracts into a sealed envelope, then placed it in the safe with the watch. Charlotte walked in at 11:47 p.m., her gym bag slung over her shoulder, the same scarf peeking out. Long day, she said, avoiding his gaze, and headed to the fridge for a water. Oliver sat at the kitchen table, laptop open to a blank spreadsheet. How was the event? He asked, his tone neutral, fingers hovering over the keys. Fine. Networking, she said, sipping the water, her eyes on the floor. You didn't text back. Didn't see the point, Oliver replied, closing the laptop. You're busy. I get it. He stood, moved to the sink, and rinsed his plate. Her phone buzzed on the counter. A notification from Jake. Tomorrow. Same time? She swiped it away fast, but not fast enough. Oliver didn't comment. He dried his hands, walked to the guest room, and locked the door. The next morning, he drove to Mia's house before work, handing her the envelope. "Don't open it unless I say," he told her. Mia, a nurse with a no-nonsense streak, studied him. "You okay?" she asked. "Getting there," he said, and left for the office. Alex's email arrived at 10:03 a.m. Condo leased to Jake Harper. Seen with a woman matching Charlotte's description. Photos tomorrow. Oliver read it twice, saved it, and joined a site walkthrough, his focus unwavering despite the weight in his chest. That evening, Charlotte was home early, cooking pasta, her attempt at normalcy. "Thought we could eat together," she said, stirring the pot, her voice too bright. Oliver sat, watching her plate the food. "No gym tonight?" he asked, cutting into the pasta. She froze, then recovered. "Took a rest day," she said, her fork scraping the plate. The calendar app, open on his phone, showed her at the gym an hour ago. He didn't call it out. They ate in silence, the air thick with unsaid words. After dinner, he opened his laptop and booked a consultation with a family lawyer recommended by a client. The appointment was set for Friday, 9 a.m. He also emailed HR, requesting a review of his benefits and removing Charlotte as his emergency contact. Mia texted, "Documents safe. Call if you need me." He replied with a thumbs up, then checked the calendar app. Charlotte's location was back at the loft. He locked his phone, poured a glass of water, and sat in the guest room, planning his next move. At 1:12 a.m., Charlotte's key turned in the lock. She paused in the hallway, her steps hesitant, then moved to the master bedroom. Oliver didn't get up. He opened his notes app and typed, "Lawyer, bank, evidence." Then he added, "Stay calm. Stay sharp." Sleep came late, but it came. The next day, he was up at 5:30, coffee in hand, ready for the site. Alex's second email landed at 8:17 a.m., photos attached. Clear shots. Oliver didn't open them yet. He forwarded the email to his secure drive, locked his phone, and stepped into the morning, his resolve hardening with each measured step. Oliver opened Alex's email at 8:23 a.m., the office hum fading as he clicked the attachment. 3 photos loaded. Charlotte and Jake at the bar, their hands brushing. Charlotte entering the loft. Jake holding the door. Charlotte leaving at 2:14 a.m., her gym bag slung over her shoulder. He saved the images to his encrypted drive, forwarded them to his lawyer, and texted Alex, "Thanks. Send the invoice." Then he walked to a site meeting, his focus razor-sharp on rebar specs, though his mind cataloged next steps. At 9 a.m., he sat across from his lawyer, Sarah, in a glass-walled office downtown. She scanned the photos, her pen tapping the desk. "This strengthens your case for a clean separation," she said, sliding a draft agreement toward him. It outlined asset division, no alimony, and a clause for mutual non-disclosure. Oliver read it, signed the preliminary copy, and handed it back. "Keep it fair," he said. "I don't want to fight, just an exit." Sarah nodded, promising a final draft by Monday. Back at the house, Charlotte was already gone, her coffee mug unwashed in the sink. The calendar app showed her at a coffee shop, not her office. Oliver checked the joint account. $200 withdrawn, no note. He logged into the bank portal, froze her access to his new account, and set up alerts for any joint transactions. Then he texted Mia, "Need you to witness a conversation tonight. 7 p.m. Mia replied, "I'm there. Stay strong." He pocketed his phone and drove to a client's site, sketching adjustments under the midday sun. At 6:45 p.m., Mia arrived, her nurse's scrubs swapped for jeans. She sat at the kitchen table, sipping water, her presence a quiet anchor. Charlotte walked in at 7:03, her gym bag hitting the floor. She froze, seeing Mia. "What's this?" she asked, her voice sharp, eyes darting to Oliver. He slid his phone across the table, the screen open to the bar photo. "We need to talk," he said, his tone flat, unyielding. Mia stayed silent, her gaze steady. Charlotte's hand twitched toward her bag, then stopped. "That's not what you think," she said, stepping back. "It was a work thing." Oliver swiped to the loft photo, timestamp glowing. 2 a.m. "Work?" he asked. Charlotte's jaw tightened, her eyes flicking to Mia, then back to him. "You're spying on me?" she snapped, her voice rising. Oliver leaned forward. "I am documenting. You called it a break. I call it a lie." Mia shifted, her chair creaking, a signal she was listening. Charlotte crossed her arms. I needed space. You're suffocating me. Oliver opened the calendar app, showing her location history. Bar, loft, coffee shop. Space doesn't need a cover story, he said. Tell me about Jake. Her silence stretched, heavy, until she muttered, he's a friend. You're blowing this out of proportion. Oliver slid a printed copy of the separation agreement across the table. Sign this, or we go to court. Your choice. She stared at the papers, her fingers hovering, then pulled back. You're giving up on us, she said, her voice softer now, testing. Oliver didn't flinch. You gave up when you started hiding. I'm just making it official. Mia cleared her throat, breaking the tension. I'm here to witness, not judge, she said. But Charlotte, you need to be straight. Charlotte's eyes narrowed, but she grabbed the papers, flipping through them, her hands shaking. I need time to think, she said, shoving the agreement into her bag. Oliver stood, his voice calm but final. You have until Monday. After that, I file. She grabbed her bag and left, the door slamming. Mia, excited. You okay? She asked. Oliver nodded. Better than I thought. He locked the door, poured Mia a coffee, and sat back down. Thanks for being here, he said. She squeezed his arm. Always. The next morning, Oliver woke to a text from Charlotte. We should talk. No papers yet. He didn't reply. Instead, he drove to a storage unit, rented a small space, and moved his project files, a laptop, and his grandfather's watch inside. Back home, he canceled a joint streaming service and updated his car insurance, removing Charlotte as a driver. His phone buzzed, another text from her. I'm at the loft. Can we meet? He typed back, Monday. Lawyer's office. 10 a.m. Then he muted her notifications. At work, he finalized a client presentation, his focus unbroken despite a call from Charlotte's friend, Emma. She's upset, Emma said. Can't you work it out? Oliver kept it short. She knows my terms. He hung up, opened his secure drive, and reviewed the photos again, ensuring every timestamp was clear. Sarah emailed, papers ready. Bring any new evidence Monday. He attached Charlotte's latest texts, then headed to a site inspection, his boots crunching gravel as he walked the slab. That night, he cooked a single portion of stir-fry, ate at the counter, and checked the calendar app. Charlotte's location was offline. She disabled tracking. He smirked, unsurprised, and texted Alex. Need one more check on the loft. Tonight. Alex replied, on it. Oliver locked the safe, set his alarm for 5:30, and lay in the guest bed, the house quiet except for the hum of the fridge. His phone lit up at 1:09 a.m. Alex's update. She's there. Video sent. Oliver didn't watch it yet. He closed his eyes, his plan locked in, sleep pulling him under. Oliver woke at 5:30 a.m., the guest room dark, his phone buzzing with Alex's video from the loft. He watched it once. Charlotte entering at 12:47 a.m., Jake's arm around her waist, the door closing behind them. He saved the file to his encrypted drive, forwarded it to Sarah, and texted Alex. Invoice me. Done for now. Then he brewed coffee, checked his work emails, and prepared for the lawyer meeting. The weekend felt like a countdown, each hour tightening the screws of his resolve. At 8 a.m., he drove to the storage unit, adding his signed lease for a downtown loft to the safe. He'd secured the month-to-month rental yesterday, a backup if Charlotte dragged her feet. Back at the house, he sorted bills, splitting utilities into separate accounts. The joint credit card pinged with a charge. A boutique purchase, $89. He called the bank, canceled the card, and issued a new one in his name only. The agent confirmed the change in minutes. Oliver hung up, his focus unbroken. Charlotte texted at 10:15 a.m. Can we talk before Monday? I'm home tonight. He replied. Lawyer's office, 10 a.m. Bring the papers. She didn't respond. He drove to the office, reviewed site plans, and met a client for lunch, discussing timelines over tacos. His phone stayed quiet until 3:42 p.m. when Emma called again. Charlotte's freaking out, she said. She thinks you're rushing this. Oliver cut her off. She had months to be honest. I'm done waiting. He ended the call and blocked her number. At 6 p.m., he was back home, grilling salmon for one. Charlotte walked in at 6:32, her gym bag absent, her hands empty except for her phone. She sat at the counter, watching him eat. We don't have to do this, she said, her voice low, almost pleading. Oliver set his fork down. Do what? Pretend? He pulled the separation agreement from a folder, sliding it toward her. You've seen the evidence. Sign, or we go to court. She pushed the papers back. I'm not ready to end us. Her voice cracked, but her eyes stayed dry. Oliver leaned forward. You ended us when you chose him. I'm just closing the file. She stood, pacing to the sink, then turned. Jake's just a friend. You're paranoid. Oliver opened his phone, played Alex's video, and paused it on Jake's arm around her. Friends don't need locked doors at 1 a.m., he said. She froze, her breath catching. I deserve a chance to explain, she said, stepping closer. Oliver shut the phone off. You had chances. I asked questions. You lied. He pointed to the papers. Monday, 10 a.m. Be there or don't. She grabbed her phone, typed something, and stormed to the master bedroom. The door slammed. Oliver finished his meal, washed the plate, and locked himself in the guest room. His phone pinged. Charlotte's location was back on, showing her at a friend's house across town. Sunday morning, he met Mia for breakfast at a diner. She slid a coffee across the table. You're handling this better than I expected, she said. Oliver shrugged. It's not about feeling good. It's about being done. He handed her a USB drive with copies of the evidence. If anything happens to me, give this to Sarah. Mia's eyes widened, but she nodded, pocketing the drive. They ate in silence, the diner's clatter filling the gaps. Back home, Oliver packed a duffel with essentials, laptop, clothes, a charger. He left Charlotte's belongings untouched, including the wedding photo on the dresser. He wrote a note. Bills are split. House is yours until we settle. Text if you need access. He taped it to the fridge, then drove to the loft, dropping the bag inside. The space was bare, just a bed and a desk, but it felt like freedom. He texted Sarah, ready for tomorrow. Any last steps? She replied, bring the note. It's evidence of intent. At 9 p.m., Charlotte called, her voice shaky. I'm at the house. Where are you? Oliver kept it brief. Moved out. See you at the lawyer's. She started to argue, but he hung up. A text followed. You're making a mistake. He didn't reply. Instead, he opened his laptop, updated his HR portal, and named Mia as his beneficiary. Then he emailed his boss, requesting a week's leave after the high-rise deadline. Approved within an hour. Monday dawned gray. Austin skyline muted as Oliver drove to Sarah's office. He arrived at 9:50, the separation agreement in hand, photos and videos backed up on a secure drive. Charlotte walked in at 10:03, the papers crumpled in her fist. She sat across from him, avoiding Sarah's gaze. I don't want this, she said, her voice barely audible. Sarah leaned forward, then proposed terms. Oliver's ready to file. Charlotte's hands shook, but she didn't speak. Oliver watched, silent, his decision made long before the clock struck 10. Oliver sat across from Charlotte in Sarah's office, the clock ticking past 10:05 a.m. The separation agreement lay between them, its edges worn from Charlotte's grip. She pushed it back, her voice tight. I'm not signing yet. Sarah glanced at Oliver, then spoke. Then we file for divorce by noon. Court decides the terms. Charlotte's eyes darted to Oliver, searching for a crack in his resolve. He met her gaze, unblinking, and said nothing. She stood, grabbed her bag, and left without a word. The door clicked shut. Sarah turned to Oliver. She'll sign or face a judge. Your evidence is ironclad. He nodded, handing her a USB drive with the latest video from Alex. File if she stalls past tomorrow, he said. Sarah saved the drive to her safe and promised an update by evening. Oliver left, driving to his loft, where he unpacked his duffel, 3 shirts, a laptop, a charger. He plugged in a new lamp, its light steady, and sat at the desk, opening his work email to confirm a project deadline. At 1:17 p.m., Charlotte texted, Can we meet? No lawyers. Oliver replied, Sarah's office, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Final chance. He muted her contact and joined a virtual client meeting, sketching high-rise tweaks while fielding questions. His phone stayed silent until 4:30 p.m. when Mia called. Charlotte, did you know this was coming? She signed. Oliver exhaled, his pulse steady. Thanks. I'll call you later. He hung up, saved his work, and drove to a coffee shop, ordering a black coffee to clear his head. The next morning, Charlotte arrived at Sarah's office at 8:55 a.m., the agreement in hand, her signature scrawled at the bottom. She slid it across the table, her jaw tight. Happy now? She asked. Oliver didn't answer. Sarah reviewed the document, nodded, and filed it digitally. You're officially separated, she said. Divorce finalizes in 90 days if no disputes. Charlotte stood, her chair scraping the floor, and walked out. Oliver shook Sarah's hand, thanked her, and left for the loft. He stopped at a credit union, opening a new savings account and transferring his project bonus, $5,000, into it. Then he called his insurance agent, finalizing the removal of Charlotte from his policy. Back at the loft, he emailed HR, updating his address and confirming Mia as his emergency contact. A text from Charlotte arrived at 11:03 a.m. I'm moving to Emma's. Need to grab my stuff tomorrow. He replied, text when you're coming. I'll be at work. Then he blocked her number, keeping only email for logistics. That evening, he met Mia at a taco stand, splitting a plate of carnitas. She signed, he said, passing her a beer. Mia raised hers in a toast. To new starts. They clinked bottles, ate, and laughed about a childhood prank, the first real laugh Oliver had in weeks. He paid the bill, tipped generously, and drove to the loft, where he opened his laptop and booked a weekend hiking trip to Big Bend. The solitude of the trails called to him, a chance to reset. Wednesday morning, Charlotte emailed. At the house, 2 p.m. Need my clothes. Oliver replied, I'll leave a key with Mia. Leave yours on the counter. He dropped the key at Mia's hospital, then headed to a site inspection, walking the slab with a contractor. His phone stayed quiet, no pleas, no games. At 5 p.m., Mia texted. She got her stuff. Left the key. Oliver thanked her and finalized a project report, his fingers steady on the keyboard. Over the next week, he furnished the loft, a second-hand couch, a small dining table, a cactus he named Resilience. He canceled a joint gym membership, redirected his mail, and updated his voter registration. Friends texted, asking about the split. He kept it short. We're done. I'm good. Most nodded. A few pushed for details. He ignored those, focusing on a new client pitch instead. His evenings were simple, cooking stir-fry, reading architecture journals, sleeping without checking his phone. On Friday, he hiked Big Bend's South Rim Trail, the desert air sharp, his boots crunching stone. At the peak, he sat, watching the sunset carve shadows across the cliffs. His phone buzzed, a work email, not Charlotte. He smiled, saved the moment in a photo, and hiked down his steps lighter. Back at the loft, he printed the photo, taped it to the fridge, and cooked a steak, eating alone but not lonely. A month later, he saw Charlotte at a grocery store, her cart full, her left hand bare. She nodded. He returned it, paid for his coffee beans, and left. The encounter felt like passing a stranger. No pull, no ache. He drove home, parked, and watered the cactus. Sarah emailed that evening. Divorce finalized. You're free. Oliver read it, closed the laptop, and stepped onto the loft's balcony. Austin's skyline glowed, steady and bright. He didn't celebrate. He just breathed the air zone,